Why would we not just design something after a 10-minute conversation, after basically hardly knowing who the client is and what they're trying to achieve?
Well, because I think if you're trying to design something that is always in response to something else, and if you just jump into design without looking at the context or doing some research or analysis, is the result going to be relevant to who or where you're trying to design the project?
Yes.
We're not just designing a spoon or a cup that's going to be used by millions of people in different places at different time of the day through different, cycles of history and time and things, right? Like we're designing for a specific person or a specific group of people in a specific location. Everything is very hyper-specific. Therefore, the response cannot come out of nowhere. Right, there is already too much information embedded within the project seed, right, to be ignored. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the design should start. It should start from those seeds and looking at them and understanding them. And
what would we do in terms of research?
I mean, it could be anything. It's like detective work, right? Like you're putting on your Sherlock Holmes hat and you go and like
that's what I do when I go to I have a pipe and I have a hat and a little cape.
I'm like Perry Mason, right? Like you go, you ask a bunch of questions to clients. You look at maps of the site. You look at data. You look at who's the neighbor next door. What's the view? What's the climate? Yep. What's my client's need? What's their budget, what's their schedule, and then things that are more specific to the design itself.
Yeah, because
it's almost like when you go to, the client goes to the doctor to get a treatment, but they don't really know what the treatment is for, right? And it's the job of the doctor to give them the diagnosis of, well, you got, I don't know, pneumonia or you got cancer. Therefore, that's the treatment you need. Right? You're not just going to give a treatment not knowing what the person is here for. Yeah. Even if they know they're sick, they might not know exactly what they have. Right? Yeah. It's kind of...
No, it's similar. There's this idea of problem solving in architecture. And this is a common answer you will get from architects if you ask them, what do you do? I solve problems. Architects solve problems. And there's a lot of ways to dissect that, but the one easy way to understand it is that means that you are responding to a condition. You're responding to a set of constraints, a context, a set of variables, a set of givens, right? And those can be perceived or understood as a problem or a series of problems that you're working through. It would be highly irresponsible of an architect to just reach into their black bag and pull out, wham! Well, what do you think of this one? And they're like, yeah, that looks good. Let's do it. Okay, well, there are some instances where you can do that if it's more of an art installation or there's less responsibility. But, if we're talking about public sector structures, no, you can't do that, right? There's a lot of things to be involved. And even if we're talking about a house for an individual, a ground-up house, and let's say this person can afford and they have like 8 houses across the world. Still, you're responsible to some degree to just pull out a random thing out of your bag and say like, okay, how about this? Does this look cool to you? Yeah, let's do it. This is why architecture is different from an off-the-shelf product.